I'm just sort of out for a wander. Don't know if this will focus on the thing I've got at the moment. Oh well, almost. Let's just change quickly. If we can't. Yes, we can. Hello. So I've gone to small spot there. How fun is that? Is that an alpaca or a llama? One of the two. Or three. I don't know whatever they are. In fact, he's just sitting there. He spotted me. How funny. Anyway, off from a little walk into the woods. You know, there's good ideas. You think, oh, I think I'll go for a walk today because the rain stopped. But you kind of forget that it's just muddy everywhere because it's been raining for so long now that everything's just soaking. But it's good to be out. Might be able to find some interesting stuff to photograph, I'm not sure, but still out and about. I'm going for a swim later as well. But yeah, don't know. Anyway, let's have a little explore, wander around. But it's just a case of where horses have been, so tend to ruin paths quite well because they're so big and the hoofs go down in the mud. So, but yeah, it's all fun and games anyway. It's not too bad. It's actually quite firm here. Not too bad at all, actually. So yeah, just thought I'd get out. It's not cold. It's just a bit damp. So out with the RX-10 Mark IV, just obviously easy, small, light, and you can just wander around with it, and you've got lots of scope. So just thought I'd have a little mooch around. Thought I might find something interesting. I don't know. Still quite a few wintry leaves hanging off some of the trees, which you can see there, a bit of colour. So, but unfortunately, I mean the light's heavily diffused, obviously from some cloud, which isn't a bad thing. It means you don't get any dodgy shadows or anything like that. But it means your ISO's got to be kicked up a little bit. But it's not that dull. It's not so bad. I mean, at the moment we're at f5.6. It's in video, so I've just got it in P mode, so it just keeps a good exposure. ISO 400, f5.6, and 1/25 of a second. So if I opened it up to f4 and left it at ISO 400, would be totally fine for photos. There's a pigeon. But yeah, no, it's just there's probably a bit of wind noise as well. Sorry about that. It's breezy. But just getting out. Hopefully I can find something interesting and come back at a different time as well, so it's not just a case of coming out now and just to photograph stuff, even though there is some cool things. But different times of the day, times of the year and stuff, this would obviously look very different as we get into summer and back into winter, and if we get snow or whatever, it can look very, very different, obviously, depending on the year. So that's everywhere, obviously. Wildlife-wise, it seems a bit quiet here. There's some crows up in the trees there. I can hear. They're quite a way away. There's deer around. I think it might be dripping water droplets off trees. What was that? Was it just a tree creaking against another one? Yeah, it might be dripping water droplets off leaves and things like that, or these things here. There's quite a bit of water droplets hanging off them, so I might photograph some of them in a minute. I'll see. You can see there, but I've just got to find a good one. And chop down bits of wood and stuff are interesting because you've got like the core of the tree where the rings are and everything like that can always look quite good. Some of the other trees are interesting because they've got lots of texture in their bark. So it's just a case of looking around and just trying to be creative, I suppose. So, you know, especially when you get a tree like this that's got, it's been split but it's obviously hollow in the middle because it's dead. So yeah, you can just experiment. It's not too badly muddy, apart from this bit here, it's got a bit worse, but I'm going to carry on walking. And then, ooh, what was he playing? Yeah, and then we'll see what else we find. I might even go off the beaten track a little bit, because some of these look quite cool. But some of these might look really good in black and white, just where the light's very dull today and it's very flat. Quite often, something like that, for example, that tree in the middle, might look quite cool, silhouetted like it is, but in black and white. So I'm going to start snapping and show you what I've captured later on. But yeah, it's just get out, experiment, play with the camera, especially if you bought one of these new and you're a bit sort of new with it and you don't know the features or so much. Just get out and use it, experiment, get it into manual as much as you can, because that makes a huge difference. If you can shoot raw, shoot raw. If you haven't got editing software and you just want to shoot JPEG, go for it. They're still very good, but raw is loads better in the long run. It does give you a little bit more control, obviously, with all the layers and everything, from clarity to colours and sharpness and noise reduction, all that sort of stuff in Photoshop or whatever else you decide to use. But and also there's more depth of field, more dynamic range comes through on the raw, and less. I can't remember what I did. I basically did a side-by-side version of it, and you can see the difference in the quality from a JPEG to a RAW when shooting. So up to you. If you want to shoot both, you can shoot obviously JPEG and RAW at the same time, so it gives you the option. But personally, I just shoot RAW, and it takes seconds to process them. I don't really do much to them, but they're just better in the long run. So right, I'm going to snap away and see what else I can find. So I've got these little water traps here from where a tracked vehicle, like either a tractor or maybe a JCB or something's gone through. You can actually see, when I look at them with my eyes, you can actually see reflections of stuff, but obviously it's hard to focus on. So the best thing to do is find what you think the reflections are, which are there. Just toggle it into manual focus, go back down. You should be able to see now the reflections in there a little bit. Obviously the water's moving around loads because of the wind, but they are there. You can see them appearing and going away. So if you know where the focus is, which is there, you can actually focus there and then go back. But obviously now it's going to focus on the mud or whatever, so we hardly see them. But just sort of a little tip there. There's deer in there, not that we can see them yet. They're over there, just in the depths a little bit. There's a squirrel. There they are. See the bums go? There you go. Little deers. They spotted me. So it's quite amazing how some things look really appealing to the eye, but it's quite a messy scene. But in the real world it looks really quite cool with this arched little branch here. There's a bit of a tree that's sort of fallen down or got stuck down. But there's too much stuff in the foreground behind it, so it's a little bit of an issue to try and make it look interesting. Plus there's loads of little branches coming off it, so it's a bit messy, which is a shame. But yeah, so I'll carry on wandering. I think that's water down there. It looks like a flood. Look at that. I don't know, it's just deceiving. Well, it might be, I don't know. There's a signpost down there to tell me where I am roughly. But then we've got all these little bits in here. We've got a holly tree here. Some more of these leaves here, which do look quite cool, but they're a bit bandaged together, so they are a little bit messy, but they do look interesting still at the same time. And that's where this 600mm lens comes into hand, where we can go obviously from 24 wide angle to seeing whatever we want. to obviously zoom in right in, and then on top of that we've got clear image zoom as well, which gives us a little bit extra magnification, which is always handy on sensor zooming. So yeah, it's cool. It's actually trying to get brighter, which is nice. Glad I saw some deer though, it was pretty cool. I just spotted one, it was just sort of walking through. That's a bit of a gap through there. A couple of tree breaks. I don't know if I want to go all the way down there because I don't think there's much. I might have to look on the maps in a minute and just see what's really down there. I don't really know. But we'll have a little wander down a little bit and see. I'm just thinking if it's worth going into the woods here because there's quite a bit. See if I can find the deer again. The thing is, I'm not wearing much camo. I've got a black jacket on, so I've got camo trousers on, which will blend in nicely. But the black jacket, no. It's probably not really worthwhile. But it's a miserable day and not much going on. But the new ferns are growing. This always reminds me of sort of prehistoric times. These ferns. That's what kind of reminds me of sort of the Jurassic stuff. So I'm sure that probably does go back to that. And then we've got a tree like this, which is kind of cool. I love that sort of bark. It just looks so interesting, especially when you've got a little bit of moss on there. It's a photograph as well. Tree or yeah, little tree growing out of that tree that's fallen down by the looks of things, which is kind of cool. So there's tons of stuff around. You just got to look around and actually see what you find. I mean, this tree here, sadly, it's in with the other trees there, but I mean that's quite cool. Just as a dead, upright little sort of telegraph pole, I suppose, in some respects. So anyway, I'm going to try and take some snaps now. Like I say, please don't forget to click that subscribe button, little notification bell as well. Share the channel because it really helps. I'm just trying to build it up a bit more. I'm trying to get back into it now. Health and everything's pretty good. Going to do lots more stuff, so just got to get cracking really. Work wise, that's all in change, which is good. A little bit scary, but at the same time it's going in the right direction, and just want to get to back to 100% and being healthy, because there's still a lot of worries in my brain that obviously are affecting me as well as not just the actual health part, because that's not that bad. It's more to do with, I think, mental stuff, which obviously does affect you without realising. It's sort of it's unconscious or subconscious, as they call it, stuff that we can actually make you feel rubbish without even you even thinking about it. So yeah, look, it's actually warming up a little bit. So yeah, anyway guys, I'm just going to carry on snapping, and I shall post some pictures at the end, probably do a little bit of a voiceover and get back into this, and hopefully get a few more videos out in the next week as well. So yeah, watch out for this, and like I say, see you soon. Also, don't forget, if there's any questions about the RX10 or any of the Sony cameras and you're new to them, or you're struggling with something, if I can help, I will always reply to messages and help you if I can. There's no problem whatsoever. So just let me know. I hear a robin. Can we find him? That's the question. He's not far. There he is. Hello, mate. Right, so you can probably see right in the centre there, if I zoom in, there's a little tiny leaf. There he is. That is spinning around and blowing around in the wind. It's got loads of holes and stuff in it as well, so it's starting to decay. Looks really cool, but it's getting the right angle on it. Which the only way of doing it is getting higher up, which is fine. But now I've got to try and get on it just through all that undergrowth. There it is. There. Right through it all, so we'll see what I can capture. Well, we got it. It's through there. And as I back out, you'll see it's right through all the undergrowth, stuff like that. And that's where this camera really does shine in a lot of ways, because you've got so much usability of it. You know, in certain situations, obviously it's not perfect, we know that, but in so many other, you know, ways, I'd have to be carrying a 600mm lens with me for first of all to even get that shot from the angle I need to be, because otherwise I'm down here below it and I can't get the right angle on it, and if I go past it, it's very difficult to get an angle on it here as well, because now I can't really get the right angle on it. So it has allowed me really easily to get it. Mr. Bobby's back again, so if I can capture it again. Not sure. But anyway, I'm going to head back, go for a swim, and yeah, just maybe snap some other things on the way back. It's like these old leaves, big leaves here, they're really cool. But you've got to find one that looks really interesting. This obviously is just laying on the ground, so you can pick one up, hold them up in your hand, stuff like that, or place them. There's so much you can do with them. If the sun comes out, you can backlight them. Obviously these ones are soaking wet, so probably not that translucent when they're wet, but when they're dry they look amazing. And I really like this colour, this sort of autumn oranges, browns or whatever, look really cool. Just add a little bit of difference to compared to like summertime where everything's just green, or obviously got flowers and stuff, but I'd like to go up there, but that is going to be slippery. Up through those bit of woods there, but we'll carry on back. We've got chestnuts here, I think the deers have been eating, so yeah, not a bad little wander, which is good. Seen a few little things. Obviously this has all been coppiced, you can see where they've chopped them down, they're all growing back up again. But it's a really harsh, close wood, so not really sure what they're like in the summer. I expect the deer like it because it's all enclosed and keeps them hidden. That's what I was going to look for. I was going to see if I could find an interesting tree. This has got actually got, oh look, we've got fungus growing on it, which is kind of cool. We've got some more details there. Also remember, at 600mm equivalent, you can actually focus down to 72cm, which means you can get really close to stuff and get some nice details without having the need for a macro lens or whatever. You can buy for the RX10 the macro adapters, which basically screw onto the front of your lens or clamp on, so you can get a bit closer if you want to, but I've never felt the need really. Seems to be plenty of use, and it's just another thing you've got to carry around with you, and you know, but we shall see what else I can find. Old trees there flaking away. Yeah, I'm just going to wander around, guys, and see what else I can find. It's just a bit, I'm out looking, exploring. A different time of year. This is where like I need one leaf, but they're all bushed together, so it doesn't look all that amazing. But if you had one on its own, just hanging off, I suppose you got one up there, but you know, it's just a little bit different. There was a view through here. Oh, if those little tribbly bits weren't there. Tribbly bits? I don't even know what a tribbly bit is. Skinny bits of tree. It's a new word, I just made it up. Let's add it to the Oxford Dictionary. Definitely winter. That's all we know. Creaking trees in the wind. That's quite cool. So obviously I knew I was going to be walking back. So actually, I knew I was going to be looking at this everything in a different view as I was walking back. So always make sure you have a look behind you, because it's like a rally stage. How much fun would that be in a rally car? You know, power sliding around and drifting through that bend. But actually, as a photo, it's quite nice. So here's a couple of the other photos that I've taken. This is a conversion of one of the other pictures looking down the muddy track, converted to black and white. Thought I'd just have a look at it. This shot here is one of the leaves, but no flash, natural light. And the next shot is with the little pop-up flash, basically just adding a little bit extra punch to the image. Just that little flash is really handy sometimes. So make the most of it. One of the old prehistoric ferns, just a bit of interest really. Shooting f4, 600mm. A little bit of blurred background. This was quite cool. Some leaves, old leaves, just in a sort of wood pile. Just look quite interesting. Lots of moss and stuff as well. Just interest. Doesn't quite work as well in black and white because it all sort of looks roughly the same. So yeah, unfortunately that was a bit of experimentation. Here are some dangly berries, seeds or something, not really sure what they are exactly, but they were quite cool. Just a bit of interest. That is the leaf that I was trying to get that was hanging up quite high. I had to try and get an angle on it, but in black and white it doesn't work quite as well as it does in colour again. And some of the fungi on the end of the chopped wood there. So it's quite amazing how things, nature and everything takes over and starts growing again. Different angle here, looking straight down on some other stuff. Again, it's such a usable camera, and obviously it doesn't matter what camera you're using really, as long as you get the most from it. The rally stage, as I called it, is there, but this is how much dynamic range the camera's actually got, just to show you in the real world how much sort of control you've got in RAW. So bringing back all those highlights in the sky to give the cloud some definition. This shot I quite like, a bit simple but quite nice. The greens and then the tree trunk straight in the middle, that's quite cool. Bit messy around the edges but still works quite well. And then black and white doesn't work as well, but again, have an experimentation just to see. Sometimes it works better than in colour, so it's always worth a go. Some more of the fungi. This shot here is a 24mm wide angle, and then we had the 600mm stood back kind of version as well. So really good. Any questions, feel free to ask, and don't forget to click the subscribe button, little notification bell as well, and I'll be back with some other videos. I just thought I'd do a little vlog today because I was out walking and the weather was just a bit miserable, so I thought if I can inspire others to take more photos, it's worthwhile. So anyway, I shall see you soon.